Okay, so this is my super compact lava farm design that I showed off in a different video. And I've actually seen some people online posting their own builds where they use this or something similar. And that's been really cool to see. I'm really glad people were able to make use of this. But on my last video, somebody asked if I could make something like this that produces biodiesel instead of lava. And so I tried it out and I did come up with something, and I think it's pretty cool. So let me show you. So this is the design I came up with. You can see it's 4 blocks tall, 5 blocks wide, or really it's only 4 blocks wide, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks long. So it's obviously not as compact as the lava farm, but still very compact. And it produces enough biodiesel to power almost 40 diesel engines. So it produces about 40 millibuckets of biodiesel per second, and each engine takes 1 millibucket per second. But you shouldn't actually be using 40 engines, like it's kind of ridiculous. It takes up more space than the actual farm itself. And if this farm ever runs out of fuel, if it ever turns off, it's catastrophic. And this produces over 200,000 stress units, and the farm itself only uses about 4,000. So before I show you how this farm works, what is it actually useful for? Because yeah, it makes biodiesel so you can power diesel engines, but like, why would you ever use this instead of this, right? The lava farm is so much more compact, and you can just power Stirling engines instead of diesel engines. So why would you need this? And the big reason is that this uses no water. And so that means it can be used in the Nether. The lava farm uses this water as part of the cobblestone generator. And so you can't put this in the Nether. So if you want to make any Nether vehicles with infinite fuel, this is the way to go. All right, so let's take a look at how this thing actually works. And to do that, let's actually look back in the history of my design. So this is the first one I made. Mostly it's just like a proof of concept to see if it would actually produce enough to be useful. And as you can see there are some problems with it, but this helps illustrate how it works. So at its core, this farm is a potato and wheat farm. And the potatoes and wheat are sent over to be processed into biodiesel. So the wheat seeds are put into a basin and smashed into the plant oil. Meanwhile, the potatoes are put into a bulk fermenter with bone meal to turn into ethanol. And the plant oil and the ethanol are then pumped into a basin and mixed into biodiesel. And the bone meal comes from this, which is a calcite generator. So Create Aeronautics adds this special generator recipe where the levitite blend can be mixed with lava to create calcite. And then calcite can be put in a millstone to create bone meal. And so that bone meal is put into the bulk fermenter to make the ethanol, as well as to grow the crops faster. And that's what makes this so fast, is that you only need one of each crop and they're bone mealed constantly. So you get enough crops to make a lot of biodiesel. Okay, so then after I made this design, I tried to actually make a real one. And so this is my first attempt, but it didn't really work out. There were some problems with it. So then this was my first working attempt. And the biggest innovation here was using a spinning mechanical bearing for the harvesters instead of a gantry shaft like this. That makes it way more compact. And this works by using a sequence gear shift to turn just a little bit at a time, and it stops after every turn. And while it's stopped, the vault drops off its items from these funnels. And so it drops the seeds here into the basin, and then it drops the potatoes here into the bulk fermenter, and then everything else gets dumped into the lava cauldron. And this design is great because it eliminates the need for those portable storage interfaces, which both take a long time to transfer items, as well as they're pretty bulky. And from there, basically, the rest of the designing is just trying to figure out how to get the pipes and the shafts and everything to link up properly. And then the bone meal generator up here puts the bone meal onto this depot, and then this mechanical arm takes the bone meal from here and then puts it into each dispenser. So it puts it into these funnels here, as well as into the bulk fermenter through this funnel. So it goes through the funnel into the hopper, into the fermenter. And then the liquids travel through the pumps up here, into here, and then here's the output. And then the idea is that you would have this output feeding into some diesel generators instead of this creative generator. And then you could use the rest of the stress units to power a vehicle or something. And this design was great, it works fine, but I thought I could do a little bit better because there's still a lot of like empty space in the middle, and we have all these this mess of cogs. And so I eventually came up with this design, which is more compact and just overall better. So here I have a little bit of a different layout. The thing spins a full 360 degrees every turn, and then the crops come out over here onto these hoppers, And the whole pipe system is a lot more compact. So all the pumps are right next to each other, which is really nice. And the crops are actually like right on top of the pumps. So I got everything really tightly to fit together. And one thing that I think is really cool is that the liquids are just entirely contained within all the machinery. There's even like a redstone link holding in the lava. So I don't need any like extra blocks to hold this stuff in. So if you want to build this yourself, there'll be a schematic download in the description. So you can download that and print it in your world. So if you place it with a schematic cannon, this is what it will look like. And so you'll have to do a little bit of extra stuff to get it working. So first of all, of course, you're gonna have to put your liquids up here. So the lava goes right here next to the sequence gear shift. Lovetype goes here on top of the press. Then you also want some lava in this cauldron. And then it's kind of annoying, but you're gonna have to come down here and place a new bulk fermenter right there. For some reason, they get kind of bugged in the schematic. So you're gonna have to break it and place it again. But after you've done that, then you can jumpstart it by putting some fuel into the engines. So the simplest way to do that is just put a fluid tank you'll probably just need 1 bucket of biodiesel, and then you just crank it to fill up the engines. Oops, I broke this. And you should probably just watch this for a minute and make sure it's working. So once you have some biodiesel in here, then you're probably good. So you can just break all this. And then it should be going on its own now. And you might notice this one is spinning in opposite direction as that one. It actually doesn't matter. Either way works. So now I want to talk about some of the unique features of this design, because I did some things that you might not expect. So for the first thing, I want to talk about the lava cauldron. You see, I didn't actually put a filter on this, so this can drop any items into the lava. So these funnels filter out the potatoes and the seeds, but this one is meant for the wheat. But it can also drop seeds, as you saw there, and the potatoes. And then I have a Farmer's Delight, so it's also dropping the straw. So why don't I put a filter on this so that it doesn't waste any potatoes or seeds? And that's to protect against overflow. So once this system all fills up like this, there are going to be lots of extra potatoes and seeds in the vault. And if those build up and it fills up, then it could cause problems. And so I have this here that can just dump any extra items into the lava whenever these guys have stuff just sitting here and they can't drop any more. However, there's a kind of weird thing that happens where sometimes this funnel will just take all the items and nothing will ever drop out of these ones. Even if they're potatoes or seeds, they'll just come out of this one anyway. And I don't really know why that happens. It only sometimes happens. I don't really know. And so I had to develop this system to combat that. So basically what this does is it locks this funnel for 30 seconds every 40 seconds. So basically for 30 seconds it's locked, and then for 10 seconds it's unlocked. And that makes it so that most of the potatoes and seeds will go here, but then every once in a while this will be unlocked and it can just dump everything for 10 seconds. And so it might drop some seeds or potatoes during that time, but it's fine because it has plenty of time to put enough seeds and potatoes where it actually needs to be. And then there's enough time for it to dump all the unneeded stuff into the lava. And this is actually really crucial. Without it, it eventually runs out of potatoes in here, and then this just fills up with bone meal. And then no more potatoes can get into the system. So I keep talking about how catastrophic it is if you ever allow this machine to stop. So I'll show you what happens, because it's really bad. So let's just break the engines and see what happens. So basically something like this is what will happen. So the mechanical bearing stops like halfway through its rotation, and then all these blocks get placed in the wrong spot, and it just breaks everything because everything is so compact that there's not space for it to stop in any other spot than where it's supposed to. So if you absolutely need to stop it, the safest way to do it is to time it so that when it's stopped, then you stop it, right? So I time it and now, right? So that's a relatively safe way to stop it. However, there are still some weird quirks. Like for some reason, sometimes when you start it back up, this drill just won't break the calcite. I have no idea why, and I haven't found a good way to fix it when that happens. I think it has something to do with this redstone link, which doesn't make any sense, but just never stop it. Just keep it always running. If you want to stop the output from the engines, just like put a clutch on it and stop that, but never, ever, ever allow this to stop moving. Okay, one more really important thing to know is that this is very sensitive to speed. So it's made to run at exactly 96 RPM. It can go up to 116. But any higher than that, and the harvesters will no longer actually harvest the crops. They're just going too fast and they just phase right through them. So it has to be at a lower speed. So if you want to speed it up, you can only go up to 116. So that means you can't really put a turbocharger upgrade on your engines, or if you do, just make sure to have it not connected like this and just have some way to slow it down to the proper speed. And since it's going so slow, I tried to at least make sure some of the more important components are going faster. So I have a big cog speeding up the millstone and the mechanical arm, and those are usually the bottlenecks of the system. And so with this, now it's actually the bulk fermenter that's the bottleneck. So yeah, if you want to increase the speed, do it somewhere else other than going into the system. So yeah, that's the biodiesel farm. Again, it's not as compact as the lava farm, but it doesn't have any water, and so it's really good in the Nether. But in the overworld or the ends, you should still be using the lava farm probably. So yeah, thank you to Before Light for the suggestion. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching.